Hi everyone, welcome to a new segment from EduKaji. I'm Cikgu Gan, your biology teacher. I'm the author of the KSSM textbook as well as the author for Success Plus Biology. Okay, today teacher is going to discuss about Melaka trial paper 2022. Okay, so let's look at paper 2 today. Right, let's start. Question 1. Diagram 1.1 show an organism M found in a freshwater pond. Name structure X and Y. Okay, so structure X is cilium. And structure Y is contractile vacuole. Okay. State the stages of cell organization for organism X. Now, paramecium is cell. Okay, the stages of organization is cell. Take the process that occur on structure Y. Now, so let's look at structure Y. Earlier, I said that Y is contractile vacuole. So the process that occur here is osmoregulation. Explain how structure X function for organism M to obtain food. So structure X is the cilium. So how does cilium function for it to obtain food? So the cilium will help to beat, beat the food particles into the oral groove. Okay, so the oral groove is here, is not indicated here. There should be an oral groove here. So once it's beat into the oral groove, then the food vacuole will fuse with lysosome. And the food is then hydrolyzed by the enzyme lysozyme in the lysosome. Then the nutrient are absorbed into the cytoplasm. Okay. All right. Next question 2. Diagram 2.1 show the growth of one seedling. Okay, so the seedling is growing. So we want to see based on the diagram. State one type of plant tissue that is responsible for the growth. One type of tissue that is responsible is meristematic tissue because it has the ability to divide by mitosis. Okay. Next, state the type of cell division process that contribute to the process shown in diagram 2.1. Now, meristematic tissues are tissue that actively divide by mitosis. Diagram 2.2a and 2.2b show the secondary growth that occur at the stem of eudicote. Based on diagram 2.2a and 2.2b, state two parts of tissue that are involved in the secondary growth. So the two types of tissue involved is apical meristematic tissue as well as lateral. Okay, so here the tissue is found at one meristematic tissue, which is the apical This is vascular cambium. And then you have one more here, which is the cork cambium. Okay, these two are for the lateral meristematic tissue. Apical meristematic tissue are found at the root tip and the shoot tip. Explain one importance of secondary growth to cord blood. Now there are many importance, so they want one. So okay, we will write one. Provide more xylem and phloem tissues. Okay, this is to enable more water, mineral ion, and organic substances to be transported. Okay, another one is the xylem, the secondary xylem, provides mechanical support to the plant. Okay. Question 3. Diagram 3.1 shows the schematic diagram of inheritance between a black short fur cat with long white fur cat. H is dominant for black fur. H small letter is recessive allele for long fur. Okay, so recessive for long fur, short fur is G, representing allele for short fur. Okay, and H is for black fur, and small h is for white fur. Okay, so now write the gamete. Okay, complete the diagram by writing the gamete and F1 genotype. So the gamete here is HG, and the F1 genotype is HHGG. Explain how cat in F1 generation inherit the black fur trait. Okay, so if you look at the F1, how it inherit black fur. So the black fur is the male here. The male carries the dominant allele. Okay, it produces dominant allele for H, and the female produce the recessive allele for white fur. So here it inherits H from the male, capital H, and small h from the female. So because it is heterozygote, so therefore it inherits the black fur. Okay, so this happened during meiosis, when the male parent, okay, male parent can produce gamete with allele H, while the female parent produce gamete with allele H. So the gamete fuse to produce zygote with HH genotype. Okay. Okay, next question. Mr. K has normal color vision while his wife is colorblind. What test can be performed to identify if a person is colorblind? Okay, so the test here is Ishihara test. The couple had a colorblind son. Mr. J plans to get married. Suggest suitable spouse for Mr. J so that all the children born do not inherit the colorblind trait. Explain your answer. Okay, so the best is, of course, if Mr. J marries uh, a woman who is normal, a woman who carries XH. All right. So if he is at HXH, then the gamete produced by the woman is XH. So then, if for Mr. J's son, who is colorblind, that means he is carrying a recessive allele here that causes him to be colorblind. So if the woman is XH, then the offspring, okay, will be XH, which means that the children are 100% normal or 0% colorblind. Okay. Diagram 4 show a part of schematic diagram of a spermatogenesis of an organism. Okay, so here the process is spermatogenesis. Based on diagram 4, state the organ involved in this process. So the organ involved is testis. Name process P and cell Q. So process P here is to produce haploid cell here. Okay. So this is meiosis 1 and Q is secondary spermatocyte. Based on diagram 4, explain how the formation of sperm occur. Okay, so how the sperm is that after this, the secondary spermatocyte will undergo meiosis 2. So here is meiosis 2 to produce 4 spermatid, which then differentiate. Here is differentiation to form 4 sperm, yeah. Okay, so here you say both secondary spermatocyte, okay, undergo meiosis 2 to produce 4 spermatid. Okay, then the four spermatid will differentiate to form sperm. Okay, Mr. M is exposed to radioactive radiation without him being aware of it. This situation caused the production of sperm with abnormal number of chromosomes. Explain why. So he is exposed to radioactive radiation. So as a result, he produced abnormal number of chromosome in the sperm. So explain why. Now, so the radioactive radiation disrupt the meiosis process. So probably the spindle fiber fail to function during anaphase 1. So therefore, the chromosome, okay, so if it's anaphase 1, then you put homologous. Homologous chromosome fail to separate. Okay, and therefore, the number of sperm, okay, will be more or less, more or less. Okay. Next, question 5. Diagram shows the vertebra column of which is part of the human skeletal system. Name vertebrae, vertebra M. So M is thoracic, yeah. State two differences between vertebra M and N. So N is lumbar. So for M, this one is for M, which is the thoracic vertebrae. It has long spinous process. For N, short spinous process. So the spinal process is the one that is projected out. Okay, this is the one. Then M have long transverse process, where N short transverse process. So this is transverse process, yeah. Okay, for M also have medium size centrum, while N has large centrum. Okay, diagram 5.2 show a health problem faced by individual P. Okay, so what is the health problem of this individual? Okay, so this individual is suffering from scoliosis. Okay. Okay, so his spine bends to the side is to become S or C shape. Okay, so this can be caused by abnormal growth of the spine during puberty. So the person will suffer back pain or abnormal physical appearance. Okay. Next, suggest a suitable treatment for this individual to be able to lead a normal daily life. Use brace, okay, or braces to support the spine. Okay, maybe surgery to reduce the curvature of the spine. Okay. Okay, question 6. Diagram 6.1 show a cross section of a leaf. Name 2 adaptation of structure X found in the leaf. Okay, so 2 adaptation is structure X, structure X. So here, structure X is the epidermal layer, epidermis. So X is epidermal cell. So the adaptation is that it is a transparent layer, have cuticle, and the X does not have chloroplast. Okay, state the role of structure Y in photosynthesis. So structure Y here is the stoma. So stoma allows carbon dioxide to diffuse into the leaves. So and into the cell. Okay, so that is for B. Okay, let's continue. The following information is about structure Y. Okay, structure Y, which is the stoma. Okay, the process of opening and closing of the structure Y is controlled by the gut cell. This process is affected by the light intensity and also the presence of water. In the morning, the structure Y will be closed and it will be open at noon. Based on the statement above, explain how can the change in structure Y from morning to afternoon occur. Okay, so here we want to explain how the process of the opening and the closing. For here, this here is from morning to afternoon. That means for the opening. So it's the process of the opening of stoma. So when the light intensity increases, so the rate of photosynthesis in the gut cell increase. Therefore, sucrose concentration increase. Okay, then at the same time photosynthesis also the active transport of K plus potassium ion into the gut cell will occur. So these two causes the water potential in the gut cell, okay, to decrease, whereas the solute potential in the gut cell increase. Okay, so as a result, when this happens, the water from into the gut cell will diffuse into the gut cell by osmosis. So the gut cell will become turgid and curve outwards, causing the stoma to open. Okay, so it's a very long answer here. Okay, so when light intensity increase, the rate of photosynthesis in the gut cell increase, sucrose concentration increase. At the same time, the active transport of K plus into the gut cell will occur. So the water potential in the gut cell will decrease, solute potential will increase. Therefore, water will diffuse into the gut cell by osmosis, and the gut cell become turgid and curve upward, causing the stoma to be open. Okay. Diagram 6.2 show the reaction that takes place in the chloroplast component during photosynthesis. Based on the diagrams, what is the difference between reaction P and reaction Q? So here, reaction P is light-dependent reaction, whereas reaction Q is light-independent. Yeah, this is light-dependent reaction. This is light-independent reaction. Okay, in light dependent, okay, you can see that light is needed. Okay, here does not require light, and then water is required. Here you don't need water. Oxygen is produced. Here glucose is produced. This one occur in granule. This one occur in stroma. Okay, so and other than that, you can see that ATP and NADPH is produced, whereas this one is used in light-independent reaction. ATP and NADPH is used. Okay, so, and CO2 is also used in light-independent reaction. So yeah, basically you can see all the answer in this diagram, yeah. Okay, question 7. Diagram 7 show the molecule structure of P, which is the simplest form of carbohydrate. Molecule Q formed from combination of two molecules. So this is glucose, and this is maltose. So P is explain what happened to molecule P in the cell. Now, molecule P is glucose. So in the cell, glucose is oxidized. To produce energy by cellular respiration. Explain the formation of Q. So Q is maltose. So maltose is formed by condensation, okay, where a bond is formed between two glucose molecule, and it results in the elimination of one molecule of water. Encik Ahmad suffer from pancreatitis. Okay, his pancreas become inflamed and cause pancreatic damage. Explain the effect if he takes food high in molecule P. So if he has too much of P, which is glucose, then he's suffering from pancreatitis, which means that less production of insulin. Okay, so the excess, yeah, glucose cannot be converted to glycogen. Okay, so as a result, this will cause high blood sugar. So that means he's suffering diabetes mellitus. Okay, question 8. Diagram shows an individual that carry out fermentation. Explain the importance of fermentation X process. Now, fermentation produce energy under limited oxygen supply. State the difference between fermentation X and aerobic respiration based on the following aspect. So fermentation X is fermentation lactic acid. So here the breakdown of glucose is incomplete. Here the breakdown of glucose is complete. Okay, the product of the breakdown of glucose, this one is lactic acid and energy. This one is CO2 plus water plus energy. Where does it occur? Okay, this one occur in cytoplasm. Okay, and this one occur in cytoplasm and then mitochondria. Yogurt production uses the fermentation X method. Explain why yogurt spoil if it's not kept in the refrigerator. Okay, if you keep it at room temperature, the other bacteria, not the bacteria that carry out fermentation, yeah, other bacteria will grow and cause the yogurt or the curd to spoil. Okay, or you can say to turn sour, very sour, okay? Diagram 8.2 shows the bronchial wall of a normal human and a human suffering from disease B. So you have a normal bronchial and also an inflamed and thickened bronchial wall. The student actively participates in sport tournament at his school. He also carries an inhaler with him. Justify his action of always carrying the inhaler. Now, the inhaler is necessary for him because the inflamed and thickened bronchial wall helps him to he takes the inhaler to reduce the inflammation, yeah, so that it's easier for him to breathe. The air passage will be open, right? So that to open the air passage of the bronchial tube, so to help airflow, so he can breathe more easily. Okay, now we are into section B, essay, where you have to choose one question in this section. Diagram 9.1 shows a doctor performing a knee jerk test to test a patient. Okay, so this is the pathway. State the importance of performing knee jerk tests and explain how this test can detect damage to the M nerve. Okay, so okay, for this one, okay, let's see how the answer are. Okay, so now to test for the importance of performing this knee test is that doctor can measure the presence and strength of reflexes. So here, the doctor want to see how spontaneous the reflex action is, and to evaluate whether the neural network in the patient is sensitive enough to detect any kind of stimuli. So this will know, the doctor will be able to diagnose the effectiveness of the nervous system. So how does this how is this carried out? Okay, because how does this test can detect damage? So what happened is the doctor will take a rubber hammer, all right, and when the doctor knock the knee part, the kneecap part, the tendon below the kneecap is tapped. So when it hit with the rubber hammer, the tendon below the kneecap is tapped. So the quadricep muscle are stretched. Okay, so the stretched receptor then this receptor that are stretched will trigger a nerve impulse, which will be sent to the sensory neuron. And then at the sensory neuron, it will be sent to the motor neuron. Now, if the sensory neuron cannot transmit this impulse to the motor neuron, then the motor neuron will not be able to transmit this nerve impulse to the effector, which is the quadricep muscle. So the quadricep muscle does not contract and the knee does not jerk forward. Okay, so the doctor will hit it with a rubber hammer. It should produce a reflex action quickly. That means the leg is supposed to jerk forward. But if the leg does not jerk forward, that means the sensory neuron cannot transmit the nerve impulse to the motor neuron. So therefore, that shows that the person cannot produce the reflex action. So that means his nervous system is not sensitive to stimuli to be able to respond to a stimuli. Okay. Okay, next, diagram 9.3 shows an emergency situation. Compare and contrast two systems involved in the situation in 9.3. Okay, so here, both systems here are the nervous system and the endocrine system. Both systems have tissue and organ target, and both systems can coordinate body activities. So, okay, and this both system also produce responses to stimulation. So the system here that is involved is nervous system and endocrine system. So the first one, the nervous system and the endocrine system consists of neuron cell, million of neuron cell, whereas this one consists of not neuron cell, consists of glands. Right. Next, the signal in the form of nerve cell. The nerve cell transmit nerve impulses, whereas for endocrine gland, the signal is in the form of chemical or what we call as hormone. So the nerve impulses is transmitted through neuron. This is through hormone is secreted into the bloodstream, which then flow in the bloodstream to the target organ. Immediate response. Okay, nervous system always produce immediate response. This one slow. Duration of the effect is very short. This one is long. Impulse produces a response of an organ. And this one, several organs are normally involved, not just one, yeah? Okay, diagram, table 9.4 show the result of the glucose concentration test in Mr. Y's blood. Table 9.5 show the test result of TSH and thyroxine. So you have the blood glucose concentration test, as well as the TSH and thyroxine test. Based on table 9.4 and 9.5, explain the disease suffered by Mr. Y and Mr. Z. Okay, so you see here, this is the normal range. So his level for TSH is below, whereas his thyroxine is above. And for Mr. Y, normal is 7.8 to 11.1, but he is far beyond the normal range, 17.8. So Y is actually suffering from diabetes mellitus because you can see that his blood glucose is above the normal range. So this is due to less insulin being secreted, and therefore less sucrose is converted into glycogen. So his symptom will be frequent urination, blurred vision, tired. So Y is suffering from diabetes mellitus. Now for Z, he's suffering from hyperthyroidism because the stimulation from the TSH is less, okay, and he's producing, okay, the TSH is the secretion is low, so the pituitary gland does not produce sufficient TSH, so the thyroid gland here is overstimulated to produce more thyroxine. So the level of thyroxine will increase. So he'll probably have, with high level of thyroxine, as you can see from the result here, he has very high thyroxine level, which means that his metabolic rate will be very fast. He also have other symptoms like excessive sweating, frequent defecation, fast heart rate beat, and he loses his body weight very fast. Okay, because of over secretion of thyroxine hormone. Yeah. Okay, next, diagram 10, question 10. Diagram 10.1 show the fertilization that occurs in flowering plant. Describe the type of fertilization shown in 10.1. So here is a double fertilization, yeah. Okay, so the marks here is 4 marks, yeah. So here the type of fertilization is double fertilization, and the pollen tube will germinate once the the pollen grain drop onto the stigma. So the pollen tube that will penetrate the tubule carries with it two male gamete. So once it reaches the micropyle, the tube nucleus will degenerate. So then the male gamete, one of the male gamete will fertilize the egg cell to produce a diploid zygote, and another male gamete will fuse with a two polar nuclei to form a triploid endosperm nucleus. So here, this is the tube nucleus that will degenerate, and then these are the two male gamete. Okay, so one of it will fertilize this egg cell to form a diploid zygote. Okay, that's for this one, yeah. And then this two polar nuclei will fertilize with another male gamete to form the triploid nuclei. Okay, explain the role of fertilization process in ensuring the survival of flowering plant. Okay, so flowering plant enable genetic information to be passed down from one generation to the next because of the double fertilization. So the formation of the zygote as well as the formation of embryo sac and microspore, they involve meiosis. Okay, so the genetic information will be passed down. The fusion of one male gamete with the egg will produce a diploid zygote to restore the haploid condition in gamete, or to restore the haploid condition, and also the diploid zygote will ensure continuity, yeah, or survival of the species. Okay, then the fusion of the male gamete with the two polar nuclei will produce an endosperm. Triploid nucleus will grow to become endosperm, which provide food for the growing embryo. Okay, so the endosperm tissue supplies food for the seed germination. Diagram 10.2 show a type of flower found in a garden. Compare and contrast the type of reproductive structure for the flower shown in 10.2. Okay, so both produce gamete and both are located at the flower organ. So, but one of it is a male and female flower. Okay, so when there are male and female flowers separated, each of them have carry only one male organ or female organ. So if it's a male flower, it will consist of stamen, has filament, anther, produce pollen grain, and also project out from the base of the ovary. Whereas for female flower, it consists of carpel, which has stigma, style, and ovary, produces embryo sac, and located in the middle part of the flower. So normally, the flower, it is right in the middle. Okay, so this is the flower. This is the carpel, yeah. So this is the flower, and for male part, it project out from the base of this ovary. So this is the ovary here. Okay, diagram 10.3 show the longitudinal section of a fruit. Relate the structure of the fruit to ovary flower. So the fruit that is produced, relate the structure of the fruit to the ovary flower. So the ovule develop to become the seed. Okay, and then the ovary become the fruit when after fertilization, after zygote diploid is formed, the ovule inside will become the seed and the ovary become the fruit. And the integument layer will form the testa or the seed coat that protect the embryo. After fertilization, the stigma and the style will degenerate. So you only have left with the ovary, which then the wall of the ovary will become the pericarp of the fruit, I mean the outer layer of the fruit, yeah. Okay, seeds are the structure used to replant most angiosperm to maintain the survival of the plant species. State the importance of seed for plant survival. Now, you know that seeds has everything inside a seed, the embryo, the endosperm, which ensure the continuity and the survival of the species. So the embryo will germinate to form the seedling, okay? So in the embryo, you have the plumule and the radicle. This radicle, this is plumule, which then will grow to become the shoot and the roots, yeah? So contain embryo that germinate to form seedling. And the seed normally are enclosed with testa. There's a testa here, which protect the seed from damage. Okay, and also the testa ensure the dormant structure of the seed. When the seed the environment is not conducive for growth, then they will become in a dormant. So the seed is protected by the testa. And the tissue inside too. There is endosperm and cotyledon to provide food for the seed, so that the seed can germinate. Okay, and other than that, most seed has special characteristic that can ensure it to be dispersed easily, so that it will have a higher chance of being able to survive, right? Okay, we are now at question 11, section C. This is a compulsory question. Population growth explosion is the increase in the total number of human living in certain area. In Malaysia, the population growth is estimated to be 32.7 million compared to 32.6 million in 2021. Explain how this population growth explosion causes threat to the environment. Now, when there is an increase in number of people, definitely there will be a greater demand for resources. So there will be rapid reduction of natural resources. And to cater for the increase in the demand, usually deforestation is carried out to clear the land for more housing project, for development, and that deforestation result in many other related problems like lack of raw water sources, because forest is a water catchment area. So that will decrease supply of clean water, and a development of a new place also means more factories, industrialization, more cars, more vehicles, which will increase pollution such as air pollution. Diseases can spread easily if the number of people increase and there's no proper sanitation and proper waste removal. And other than that, which is related to deforestation, the clearing of a place, land, will cause extinction of various organisms. Okay, so diagram 11.1 shows the condition of organization atmosphere before and after 5S. So you see that after the 5S, after they carry out separate, arrange, sweep, uniform, always practice, then the environment become cleaner, more organized. Discuss the effect of 5S practices on the quality environment of an organization. So the 5S here, the first S here, refer here, is separate. So separate means here you have a practice that isolate and separate things that are needed and unneeded. And those that you don't need, you dispose of. So that will ensure a tidier and safer workplace. The second S is arrange. Okay, arrange means you store your thing, label, arrange thing properly so that it's neater and easier to retrieve whatever you want. The third S is sweep. So sweeping, practicing of sweeping, wiping, cleaning, ensure there are no dust and dirt on the surrounding places. So this will ensure a cleaner and safer workplace. Uniform. Uniform here means practice of ensuring everything is in order at all times. That means if you want to take something, retrieve something, you know where exactly it's being placed. So the work operation become more efficient. And then always practice. Always practice means you keep to it, so it become a habit, and that will improve the condition. You need to keep what you have put in practice so that everything will be organized and the system can be continuous. So this will enable a quality habit and culture in the organization. Okay, diagram 11.2 show a prototype for solving oil spill. So you have oil pour onto the natural product mesh, which is a solvent. Natural products such as cotton, kapok, and rice straw are ideal for oil absorption in the oil spill treatment. Silkworm cocoon waste is another solvent that can absorb 30% of motor oil and vegetable oil from seawater. Various fruit peels such as banana and orange being rich in cellulose content can also be used to produce solvent. Based on diagram 11.2, suggests aspect considered by researcher to produce a solvent to solve the problem of oil spill in aquatic ecosystem. So the quality must be cheap, easy to be obtained, and easily discarded. And most important, it has to be biodegradable. And when you dispose of it, it won't cause toxic material to be leached out into the environment. Okay, and finally, it must be abundant, so it must be easily accessible and obtainable. Diagram 11.3 show the information about the importance of biotech in life. So in agriculture, forensic, and environment. Based on diagram 11.3, justify the importance of biotechnology in life. So in all this segment of biotech, okay, justify why and the importance of each of these in life. Okay, so the first one is agriculture. Here you have best livestock crop breed, different variety of plant that can be produced. So you can use tissue culture method or cloning technique in which you obtain the best trait, and then this will expedite the reproduction of plant and animal. Okay, so let's say you take the best variety of paddy and then you propagate by using tissue culture method. That will give you more yield and more mass production of the product, okay, the paddy. Now, the second one is forensic. Forensic, you use DNA profiling technique. You can identify the criminal based on tissue or body fluid obtained from the place where the incident happened or the crime has been produced. And for environment, decay of waste product, degrade feces, reduce pollution. For example, here you can use bioremediation method in which you use microbe to expedite the decay of waste product created by human. So microbe can also degrade feces completely, either waste product or feces, so that you can reduce pollution to protect the environment and human. Okay. All right, so with that, I completed the sharing for today. Melaka, state paper, trial paper 2022, paper 2. Okay, till then, I see you the next time. Bye.